Hey friends, Katerina Barada here, licensed acupuncturist specializing in holistic mental health. And today we are going to be talking about boundaries. We're going to be getting into four things. First off, what are boundaries? Secondly, the benefits of setting boundaries. Three reasons why setting boundaries can feel stressful at first. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to set boundaries with loved ones in a compassionate and firm way. Before we get into all of that, make sure that you click subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you never miss a beat. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, first of all, what are boundaries? Boundaries are the limits that we set in relationships. And why are they important? Because boundaries allow you to feel safe, to turn down your stress response eventually with some practice. At first, boundaries can be stressful, but we'll get into that in a second. They help you live with integrity, prioritize the things that help you feel your best. They help you make choices that feel good to you, regulate your emotions, show up for life the way that you want to, have more energy for the things that are important to you, align yourself with who you really are, have more loving and authentic relationships, feel more fulfilled, less anxious, and more confident. So if all of that sounds good to you, then let's dive even deeper. So when we don't have clear boundaries, we end up feeling really stressed out. We feel more easily overwhelmed, dissociated from our body and the signals that it is sending to us. We might feel really resentful because we're giving and giving and giving and never getting anything in response. We might feel insecure. This leads to more anxiety, and ultimately we're also pretty exhausted when we don't have boundaries because we're just giving more than we have. But we've got to fill our own cups before we can pour out of them. So why do we have such trouble setting boundaries in the first place? Well, this is because pleasing others is a survival response, right? So when you were a little baby and you were completely dependent on your caregivers for your survival, it helped you increase your chances of survival by pleasing them, by putting your own needs and emotions aside and making sure that they were responding to you in a favorable way so that you could make sure that you could keep getting what you need in order to survive. This is called a fawn response. It's a stress response that happens when you are under threat, and it's about putting other people's needs and desires before your own. And a lot of us did not have caregivers that knew how to validate our needs and emotions, and so it started to feel unsafe to express what we needed, and we started to put our own needs aside and never learned how to set clear boundaries to actually protect ourselves. But as an adult, you're not dependent on other people for your survival anymore. Yet you still carry these survival mechanisms, these habits from the past into your everyday life, and they might end up harming you more than they serve you. Now, that is the first reason why setting boundaries can feel so difficult at first. The second reason is that new behaviors are really difficult. Have you ever tried to change a habit? You know that it can be really tricky to start a new behavior. And this is because every single time you think, feel, or do something in a certain way, your neurons are connecting. And if you've done this before, then those connections are strengthening. And the more that you repeat this thought, feeling, or behavior, the stronger this connection becomes. And it ends up turning into like a superhighway, a neural superhighway that becomes really easy and fast to go down. But the new behaviors, thoughts, and feelings are a little bit trickier to get to. Your neurons have to move a little bit further to get to them. And so it can feel really uncomfortable and really exhausting at first when you start a new behavior because it's harder to get to. Those new pathways are not as easy to go down as the superhighway. So it takes a lot of awareness and repetition to get to the point where those new neural connections become easier and you end up behaving in a way that serves you better. And this is about just practicing boundaries over and over and over again in a way that makes you feel safe so that those neural connections become stronger, so that it becomes easier and easier and easier as you keep going along. And the third reason why setting boundaries can feel so stressful at first is because anything that is unfamiliar is scary. In the past, you knew most likely what was going to happen if you behaved a certain way. If you pleased other people, you knew that you were going to avoid more conflict, and it might feel easier to just put your own needs aside so that other people could be happy. And you don't know what's going to happen if you start to put your own needs and desires first, if you start to clarify what your priorities are with other people. And the truth is, when you first set boundaries, other people might not respond the way that you want them to. They might end up being really mad at you for suddenly saying that you want to do things a certain way, or that you need to do things a certain way, or that you will not do something that you did in the past. They might end up resenting you for this. They might call you selfish. All sorts of uncomfortable conflict might arise from you suddenly setting boundaries. And this is just something that we have to get through, but that doesn't mean that it sucks any less. It might make you feel like when you set boundaries, you're pushing people away. Meanwhile, what boundaries really do is they allow you to be more authentic and therefore have more close, loving relationships. It might feel really uncomfortable at first, but ultimately you're setting up guideposts to help people get closer to you. Because boundaries are not just about saying no. They're about making space in your life so that you can fully say yes to the things that are important to you. They're about giving yourself the energy and the emotional capacity to fully show up for life the way that you want to. And they're about reducing stress, anxiety, resentment, and overwhelm. All of these are really important for your mental health. So boundaries are really essential if you want to feel better and you want to have more authentic, loving relationships. And by setting boundaries, you're also helping other people set their own boundaries and show up more authentically in their own lives. That's a huge gift. And the great news is that very often through compassionate, patient, and honest conversation, you can find solutions that work for everybody. So you just have to get past that initial discomfort and be as kind and open as possible so that then you can find things that work for everybody. So there are 3 things that make setting boundaries with loved ones easier. The first step is to honestly express appreciation and acknowledge the other person's feelings. The second step is to let other people know your needs and desires without blame or judgment. Leave the past behind you and just look towards what you need to happen in the future. And the third step of this process is allow them to express their own needs and desires. This doesn't mean that you have to change your boundaries, but you want to give them the space to feel heard as well. Remember, other people's responses and emotions are their responsibility, not yours. But your responses and emotions are your responsibility, and boundaries are going to help you take care of that. One final note is that boundaries can change over time. Circumstances change and your wants and needs will change right along with them. This is okay. The important thing is to keep checking in with yourself and keep openly and honestly communicating both with yourself and others. And everybody, including you, is going to benefit. Now, do you want some examples on how to do this? Would you find some scripts helpful in setting boundaries with loved ones? Well, I have a hookup for you. Head on over to katerinabarata.com/boundaries and you can download a free PDF that gives you a full breakdown on how to set boundaries with loved ones, including scripts for situations that you know you're going to be in. And if you want more information and inspiration on holistic mental health, then again, make sure that you are following along on the YouTube channel and click the little bell so you never miss an update. And same goes for Instagram. You can head on over to @KaterinaBarata, follow me there, and click the little bell so that you see all of my posts. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here, and I cannot wait to see where this takes you. I'll talk to you soon.